Hello, today is February 17th, and today we're going to be reading our gospel for this week, Luke chapter 6, verses 27 through 38. Jesus said, "But I say to you that listen, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who begs from you, and if anyone takes away your goods, do not ask for them again. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those from whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love your enemies, do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. Your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, for he is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful just as your Father is merciful. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure you get back. The gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ." This gospel is a continuation of the gospel of last week. That is, Jesus is in the midst of his Sermon on the Plain. Last week, the disciples were gathered around along with thousands of the crowd, all of whom have been gathered around to receive healing. It says power is flowing out of Jesus. This is a big event, and Jesus gives his teaching last week was on the Beatitudes of Luke. That is, blessed are the poor, for theirs will be the kingdom of God. Woe to you who are rich, for you have had your fill. Blessed are the hungry. Woe to you who are full now. Jesus presents this teaching of God being totally on the side of those who are oppressed and poor and hungry. God being on the side of the mourning and the immigrant, and in doing so, and God saying, "I am for those who have had nothing." God is not. It puts no stock in the wealth of this world. God puts no stock in those who use their power to enrich themselves at the expense of others. So Jesus puts that teaching out there, and he directs that at his disciples. They're the ones who have to live that, who have to absorb that, and then reflect that reality. And then so it's as if Jesus is saying this to them, to the side over here, and then it says, "But I say to you that listen." So Jesus is turning to the crowd, and he starts with love your enemies. And that right there is the full picture of Jesus's ethics. Jesus is not saying the golden rule. Unlike some sort of misconceptions about what Jesus teaches, Jesus does not teach the golden rule. What is the golden rule? Treat others the way you want to be treated. That's the golden rule. If you're nice to people, then they will be nice to you. If you're not nice to people, it's likely they won't be nice to you. Golden rule. So that's sort of the motive for, I don't know, social cohesion, for getting along. Just get along. Be nice to them. I'm sure they'll be nice to you. But Jesus is not teaching the golden rule. Jesus has no business with the golden rule. Jesus probably thinks that those who stop at the golden rule are failing the possibilities of what self-giving love can be. Jesus says, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you. And so Jesus is putting out something that is totally unlike the golden rule. Jesus is putting out something that is do good for those, uh, treat others despite how you know they'll treat you. Treat others well despite the fact that you know that they're going to treat you badly no matter what you do. And Jesus puts this out there, and it is a strange command. When he says, if anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. We have this saying called turning the other cheek. And in some ways, maybe that's a sense of, there is a sense that offering love to your enemy diffuses what that enemy is about to do next. That even if that enemy was going to attack you, they might feel worse about attacking someone who puts up no resistance. There is an idea out there that becomes linked to pacifist non-resistance. And this is a tool that Gandhi used to great effect in India in the 1930s and 40s, something that Martin Luther King in our own country used to some effect. And it was in some sense, it is resistance, it is non-compliance with the oppressor, but at the same time, it is not escalation. It is pacifist non-compliance. And that is an extremely difficult task for a widespread movement. It takes a lot of discipline for a movement to work. And at the edges of that movement, there is going to be outbreaks of conflict and violence. And that is, I mean, a natural result of social movements that seek change using pacifist non-resistance. But I don't know that Jesus's message is primarily about shaming the oppressor, about saying, I will not resist you, therefore you will be convicted by your own heart. That isn't always the case. Often oppressors aren't motivated by seeing the other person as a person. Often pacifist non-resistance for social change is also aided by other social forces happening at the time. So what is Jesus on about? Is Jesus about shaming the oppressor? Well, considering Jesus's sort of ambivalence toward the Roman rule, his unwillingness to declare non-compliance or pacifist non-compliance with the Romans, I would think this is maybe not what Jesus was talking about. Jesus is saying, in some sense, there is something outside of this arena. There is something outside of the love that you put out and the love that you get back. There is something outside of loving your enemies for your own sake. There is something outside, just as he links it to, there's something outside of lending money to somebody so that you get money back eventually with interest. Jesus is saying there is an arena, a larger arena that God is interested in, and God has a relationship with all people. And God is merciful even to the ungrateful, even to the wicked, even to sinners. And so Jesus says, don't do it for reward. Don't even do it with the expectation that you will change the other person's heart. You might. That is a possibility. But don't do it with that expectation. Be merciful because God has been merciful. Be merciful because you know there's more to this life than what the immediate response is going to be. Be merciful to the people who attack you. Be merciful and kind to those who curse you. Do good to those who hate you. Jesus is teaching a difficult thing. Jesus is teaching there's no other way to say it, but a doormat theology. Jesus is teaching something that tells us we are not makers of our own destiny. And for us, living at the tail end of enlightenment and modernity and in the sort of cult of the individual, that is really hard for us to hear that we are not the makers of our own destiny, but that we are, in fact, the choice that we have is the choice to not do evil. And that is the only real choice we have. And so Jesus puts it to us and says, you have a choice. Do good, because God has done good to you, and you can be that presence of good for the other person, even if they don't deserve it. That is our gospel for this week, and it is both difficult to hear and wondrous. Okay, I hope you're having a good week. Stay warm, stay healthy. Bye-bye.